Hello and good afternoon, Xbox Nation. Welcome to this week's new episode of the Xbox Factor Podcast. I'm your host, Mr. BoomStick XL. And folks, as you can see, it's these beautiful faces up here and Umbra's amazing symbol.
Oh,
I am literally finishing putting the gameplay for Suicide Squad. I'm recording on the back end. I have like 4 minutes left, and I will put that up so you guys and gals can check it out. I'm gonna be honest with you, Steele. I know I shouldn't be saying this because I'm gonna get canceled, but god damn it, that game is good as shit. I am having a blast with it. It's a map
nice.
game. It is a Rockstar game. The character models are gorgeous, unbelievable graphics. The banter is freaking awesome. I am really enjoying. I'm 4 hours in. I've
Mhm.
unlocked a bunch of stuff. I got some gold guns.
Okay.
And I'm having a good time with it. But Steel Rain, we have a lot to get into
We
today.
do.
That's why there's only three topics. One, we're going to talk about, and again, it's a smaller topic. Is there a new Crackdown in development? Well, Special Nick hopes so, and I'm right there with him. Some interesting information as to why we think that, or actually, again, why he thinks that, and now I
Mhm.
agree with Special Nick. Obviously, over the course of the last, I don't know, 24 to 48 hours, IGN has been stepping in it and putting their foot in their mouth as they do normally. I actually had someone from IGN stop by the chat yesterday and inform me that his 10 years at the company, he's never seen clickbait. Well,
Heck
again,
yeah. That's what's up.
obviously that's fine if he thinks that. And again, I appreciate him stopping by, but we have evidence to prove otherwise. After they didn't get a code for Suicide Squad, they did something kind of scandalous. And obviously, they were called out by people in the community, as well as Twitter for that matter, for what they're putting out there was, in fact, false. And of course, to make matters even worse, to kind of really pour the lemon juice on the cut, they literally stole a YouTuber's information and put it
Yeah,
out
shut the
there
lip, bro.
as their own, which was gross. And of course, I'm
Insipid
talking about a
ghosts.
very good friend of this show, one that was a founding father of this particular show, Insipid Ghost,
Oh,
did an interview with Cliffy B and sent it to IGN, hoping that, maybe they would give him credit. And well, guess what? As expected, the $1 million conglomerate did what we thought that or again, they are who we thought that they
mm.
were. They literally took it and did not give him any credit whatsoever. And of course, rounding out the big topic, and this is a day of rejoice for the fine folks at Blizzard. They have a new president, and I
Mm.
think she is not only has the chops, but she's going to bring a
See,
lot of positive energy to a company that, well, like, Activision had some things going on that were unfavorable
mhm.
and made working there not as comfortable as you'd like. But we're going to get to all of that momentarily. Steel Rain, first of all,
Oh, what up?
tasty, absolutely chef's kiss to Saturday's show. Phenomenal
Thank
work.
you, man.
I know you
Thank
had some issues in the
Yeah,
front end of it, but you know what? That's
happens.
life, right? These things
It
happen.
happens. Yeah.
But you guys killed it. I listened to it the whole thing, and it was amazing. How are you feeling?
Man, I'm feeling good. Can't complain. And boom, it's always good to be back in the Xbox Factor Kingdom. Look, man, with a lot of the craziness that has been happening over the week, man, I think Suicide Squad is gonna come in and tuck some of you guys in nice and cozy and warm your feet at night. I don't know. I think a lot of people are sleeping on this. Dope to hear that you were having a good time with it. I was in the closed beta, was an NDA boy, but now I'm not. So and I felt good about it then. It's dope to see some people turn around about it now. It's interesting to see people take stern takes to certain characters, and not keep an open mind. But again, it's all opinions. It's all understandable. Not every game's for every gamer, like my brother says. Shout out
Yep,
to Punk. So,
indeed.
with that, man, let's get live raw and uncut here, man. Let's get into these topics. Much love to the chat and my panel. Appreciate
Well, thank you so much for being here. Infinite Umbra, you're here, sir. I know it's not snowing in Chi Town, unfortunately. But listen,
I forgot you like
it's
the
not
snow.
it's not snowing here either, so I don't know what's going to happen for the rest of the season, but it sucks. We like snow. Unfortunately, it's just balmy out. 31 degrees, no precipitation. But listen, we got a lot to get into, man. How the heck are you feeling?
Oh, I'm feeling good. Boom. Good morning to you two brothers. You know, it's crazy to hear that you it's a balmy, what, 30, you say? 30 what?
Yeah, 31 here
31. It's
today.
40
Yeah.
degrees here in
Casual.
Chicago. I figured we'd be
Wow.
colder than you all, but I guess not. And yeah, you're right. There's no snow. It's actually pretty nice outside. It's a slight little rain going on out there. Nothing crazy, just a little, drizzle, if you will. But no, it's nice, and man, it's nice and peaceful out here right now. This is probably one of the calmest, nicest winters we've ever had. I can tell you that for a fact. So, I mean, we had a little bit of snow that
Yeah.
got rained away, and that was pretty much it. Now, with the rain when it's cold, of course, comes black ice, and a brother did slip and bust his butt that day. But other than that, it's been all right. It's been an easy winter for us, honestly. But yeah, happy to be here with you guys today. I hear that someone had got in and over in New Zealand.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, after yesterday's show, guys, I bet you didn't know. I had my personal jet standing by.
Okay,
And
bad. Damn.
chauffeur came. He picked me. He swooped me up. Took me to the jet. I flew out to New Zealand, sat down, had some snacks, played Suicide Squad, flew back just in the nick of time for the show, and well, here we are, folks.
Look at that dedication.
Yeah. Listen,
Hey,
you
I'm
know
just
what?
saying.
You got to take one for the team, so to speak. Listen, folks. We're gonna have a lot of fun here today. I got a lot to say about IGN. Again, I'm not on a witch hunt, and I'm not looking to go to war with them. I just think they're a real terrible company. I do. I do. And I'm sorry. I don't submit to anyone. I do not bow down to conglomerates. I will give props where needed and where deserved.
You can critique. There's nothing
But
wrong with that.
I will talk about a company that is that leads by disingenuous behavior, and that
Mhm.
is the way that they've been acting. And again, this is nothing. This is not platform centric. Listen, they have a hard on for Xbox. That's fine. Xbox has to fight their own battles. If it was me, I wouldn't give them shit. But that's just me, and I understand it's a game you got to play. We don't have to play those games here. This is Double Barrel Gaming, and it's owned by solely Mrs. Boom and myself, and we are going to lay it down, so to speak. And hopefully you enjoy the banter. Now, don't get me wrong. We're not going to be abusive and or even be disingenuous like them. We're going to be
Mhm.
pointed, and we're going to give you the information. And I'm going to read verbatim from what's out there on the socials that you can in fact find yourself. But before we get to that, of course, I want to thank. We have a super chat already from
Oh,
the very generous Ducato. He drops, folks, an outstanding $20 super chat and says, almost time for Boomtown. Choo choo, mother truckers. I
oh,
like that.
there you go.
There you go. Thank you so much, Ducato. And as we are waiting, I'm going to do this live. I'm going to present the Suicide Squad so you guys and gals can check out
So,
my game footage. I have 2.5 hours worth of gameplay. Pardon, it's going to be a little loud for a second. I got to mute it. And I want to get it to the exact spot where, because this is just the opening. I don't kind of want to. You don't really. It does. You don't really ruin. You don't get anything ruined. It's at 30. Hold on. Yeah, here we go. Here we go. Okay, there we go. Okay, so folks, check out the footage. It's running obviously in 1080p. I'm loving it. So obviously it's the first 2 hours of the game. There's not going to be anything ruined for you. Obviously, there is no sound for obvious reasons. Um, but I do want gentlemen to get into
mhm.
kind of IGN stuff.
Okay.
Now, one of the things that happened over the weekend, and I think everyone knows this because if you tuned into the Xbox lunch break special yesterday, we specifically led with it, is
Mhm.
the fact that IGN got out there on the socials looking for what apparently seemed like sympathy from the community about them being denied a code. Now, of course, there
Mhm.
was conversation about, especially with Hargeet who popped in. So shout out to Hargeet Chan who popped in. kind of
So,
felt like he doesn't like the practice of a publisher holding a code back until
mhm,
until release. Obviously, some people could say, well, it's because the game sucks, and that's why they were doing it.
mhm,
They did give out codes, but those codes that they gave out were for anyone that played like me, who bought the $100 edition, the early access. They didn't give it a week in advance, and they have officially denied IGN a code at all. They're not getting it. Whoever's playing it for them and is going to eventually do a review is going to be on their own dime, and as they should. Sorry, I said this yesterday, and I'll repeat it today. No YouTuber, no podcaster, and no conglomerate are owed anything. Sometimes you just got to pay the piper, which I did, and gladly. I was glad to spend $100. I did, and guess what? I'm actually enjoying it. So it's $100 well spent. Um, so what do you think an IGN, $1 million conglomerate, is going to do? What would be your thought process? So my thought process is, well, they would just eat it, right? They didn't get a code. Okay, they put it out in the socials. No one backed them because we know who IGN. Like I said, they are who we thought that they were, right? Coach Green, shout out to him. Um, and thanks to Jamie Moran, who is an amazing content creator and YouTube personality himself, he's also very, very pointed on social media. So he put out a tweet. And of course, again, thank you to Jamie Moran, someone you should be following, someone you should be subscribed to because I love his content. Said this: IGN got community noted for being shady. Absolutely
mhm,
shocker. It's so sad, it's almost laughable. So, what is he referring to? Well, when a company or a person puts out false information on Twitter, or of course the X, there are readers who can, of course, point that out. Now,
mhm,
what they did that got them put on blast, Steel Rain, was they did and again, I have the article right in front of me and a picture of it. Suicide Squad is already marked down 37% in the UK before launch day, and it's stamped IGN Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. Well, that so-called individual or individuals that pointed out this lie actually said this: this is false. The price drop is from an eBay seller who is trying to promote their online store, and he has the link for the UK eBay site.
okay.
So, I mean, folks, it's what are we doing here? Are they are leadership at IGN 10 years old? That they had to, oh, well, if I don't swing back, I'm gonna be bullied in school. They literally lied. Now, I bring this up, and again, this is not a hate campaign. I'm not looking to go to war, but I'm not going to be their friend, and they're not mine either. So F IGN. I won't curse, but F 'em. Sorry. Um, we had, again, like I said in the opening, someone from IGN pop in yesterday, which of course, this is a small ass show. Nobody's got to watch.
Mhm,
Came in, he didn't come in as an M with no thing. Came in as who he was, and he worked for IGN. And he said, he talked with the chat, and the chat was pretty fair with him because I specifically asked for you folks to do that because, again, we're not barbarians here. We're gamers. We're gonna have fun. But he specifically said during his time here that in his 10 plus years at IGN, he's never seen any clickbait or pointed content to generate traffic or
mm.
and well, here we go. Here it is for everyone to hear and see. Steele, what are we doing here, man?
I mean, I think we're like dancing around in circles. Maybe IGN just continues to do what they've always done. There's been quite some time now where they haven't properly represented the gamers, but because they are one of the biggest conglomerates as far as gaming media goes, I do believe that we should continue to beat on that drum, right? Regardless of how people feel, I can see with my own eyes, and I don't need to go to journalism school or write a memoir to judge games or to judge your own criticism. We're online. If the whole point of free speech is for me to be able to criticize anything that you put out there, but we don't have to go personal about it, right? We can always agree to disagree. That's where civil conversations come in. In a hobby, we should be able to do that. In a passion, it should go a little bit further than that, and we should be able to be considerate of each other's feelings and and really feel each other out. You know what I mean? Pause. But it's just ignorant, and IGN definitely stands for ignorant.
Well, that's certainly how
of
you
them-
spell it with IGN. I mean,
for
you know.
sure. It's ignorant for them to continue to act like there's nothing going on. It's not just us in this community who feel like IGN is biased. There is a mass audience out there who feels like IGN has some eternal issues as far as representing gamers, especially, again, your gaming media. You're the biggest one of most, and you think that everybody should just take your word at face value. The biggest thing that bothers me, except for an example, with the whole review thing that some people complained about, and again, nobody's owed anything, and I do agree that the consumers should be aware of the product that they're buying, 100%. Now, I like the fact that we just got amnesia and forgot that there was a preview of this game that went out. And IGN did a preview for the game where they specifically stated, and I'm paraphrasing, and I say specifically and paraphrasing, whatever. But I am paraphrasing that they didn't like what they experienced within it. So if that's what you had, then what is going to change when you get the full game, where you're going to beat the game and now the game is going to become magnificent for you? If you don't like the gameplay loop, it doesn't matter if the story is great, because what matters is the gameplay. And if the gameplay is supposed to sell the game, you as the reviewer should be giving your opinion. And if you want me to take what you say at face value, because that's what they argue, oh, it's my opinion, this is how I feel, you take it in look, you say these things, these people say these things as if it is law. And I only say that because they have problems when they get critiqued or get criticized, or say that, oh, well, you can't supply efficient criticism because of you're not in my position. And it's like, well, that's why I can, because I'm not in your position. You have deadlines to meet. Your stocks are dropping. You have, clicks that you have to, quotas and stuff that you got to meet. Not me.
Oh, yeah, they have to click. They have to farm clicks, as someone said in the chat. Yeah.
Me as the consumer, I'm going to evaluate what you're doing. And that's why I always go back to, well, audience, consumers, you have to do your due diligence. I understand that, sometimes it's difficult. We get busy. Life is life, and that's great. But if there's something that you see that is interesting, please do a little bit of research and find out whether it's for you or not. How long have people been gaming? Now, if you're new, shout out to everybody who's new to gaming in the chat, 1000%. But I'd imagine probably 95% of y'all are not new. Please, let's put our let's put our brain cells together and let's rub them really together real hard. Pause. And think about the things that we try to consume. Are you truly going to enjoy this? There doesn't need to be a question. Look at it. Play it like I did in the closed beta. I not only looked at it, but putting my hands on it can tell you I feel like this game is going to be a solid experience. I can't say that it's great. I haven't played it. I haven't played the actual full game yet. But from what I've experienced thus far, man, this is Rocksteady quality, top to bottom. It's not going to be for everybody. Again, nope. I know people wanted a certain type of game, and I think that's the other part of it. Again, when we got to always keep in mind that objectivity and that subjectivity. You have to be able to be objective, because as soon as you start being subjective, why are you comparing? I get it, but they blatantly have told you that they're not making another Arkham game. This is a spiritual successor of sorts. This is a continuation of sorts. This is them doing something different.
Yeah.
And they're getting crucified by the audience just for it being something different. Look at the game that's on screen in 1080p. That's not quality to y'all? This is one of the best looking games that has come out within the last 3 years. For sure. We wanted realistic graphics, right? This is what people wanted. but this isn't good enough because it's not what you wanted. Again, that's subjective.
Yep.
Objectively, look, take games for what they are, judge the experience for what it is, judge reviewers for what they are, find out who speaks to you, and also find some people who may not speak to you. And take all these different opinions and try to form your own if you don't have one for yourself. But guys, I gotta stress, please take a step back, look at your library, honestly tell yourself, what am I interested in?
Yep.
Am I going to play this?
Yeah.
So that's the way I look at it.
Well, I mean, this is just part one of the IGN shenanigans, because as you saw in the title, they did, in fact, we talked about it in the opening. They did, in fact, steal,
That
an
is
interview.
crazy to me.
We're going to get into that, but I wanted to talk about kind of get us to a lead up over here.
And that's kind of hard too, because as Cliffy B has put out a lot of that information previously also.
He has.
So it's not like it's not like they threw a stone and they took and simply go specific interview, but because his is the most recent and he did send it out to them, it is very prime and opportune that they did take his stuff and then didn't. The problem is, why didn't you cite his work, man? Like,
because they're garbage. They're garbage. I mean,
we're supposed to take you seriously.
I mean, obviously, a couple of years ago, where we kind of share a similar name. Obviously, this is Double Barrel Gaming. There is a channel, a very fantastic channel, Boomstick Gaming. Right? There's a channel out there, and obviously, if you remember, Boomstick Gaming did a review on a game, and one of the IGN reviewers, who's no longer there, I would imagine, literally copy and pasted his work, which is, they got caught out there. They had to apologize publicly. The guy was obviously fired, but listen,
I remember
steal, not steal. We're going to get into it, why I think it's a problem. Yeah. But before we get there, two quick things. Game Shark, who's been a channel member for 3 months, brother, that is very kind of you. He says Game Pass equals we don't need a review score. We decide on our own by trying without risk. IGN crying and not adjusting to change. Hashtag Bloodbath 2024. I think they have I'm an owed something syndrome issue at IGN. And obviously, based on what they did, putting out that false information tells me that they want to hurt WB Games. No one does what they do. No $1 million conglomerate goes out of their way and logistically tries to forge a false news story about a game that's not even out, that is already 37% on sale. And it's a freaking lie, Umbra. Like, it's not a mistake. It's not a one retailer that's deciding that he's going to yell. This was a eBayer that wanted to drive traffic to his freaking site, like to put it out there with the official IGN stamp, Umbra.
So they were technically telling the truth. No, I'm joking.
No, I understand you're being silly, but I mean, come on. This is again, they're supposed to be better than that.
Of course. And what I found funny was one of the environmental artists, the brother who was like,
"Yo, shout to him."
He called him out.
Yeah, he did.
All over, actually. He's like active.
Like, man, GameStop. He goes. He said IGN really doesn't like our game.
Yeah. He's been active. I've seen him in other threads too on other things concerning Suicide Squad. But it's interesting going to that because IGN. I mean, like when you had from what I heard, the Medina guy came into the audience or the chat the other day. Yeah, that was challenging the thought of clickbait and all of that. I don't know why IGN does this, right? They do this thing where they'll do something stupid, or one of their people will do something stupid. Fans will react and say, "Hey, you did this stupid thing," and they'll be like, "What? Huh?" And then try to hide their hand as if we didn't all see it. This is not the first instance of clickbait nonsense, right? Like the whole thing with them doing what they did with Incepted goes. It was twice-fold issues with that. So when them doing it with Incepted they didn't even credit him. I guarantee you IGN would have threw a hissy fit had they had been their articles or whatever it was, interview, whatever it may be, and it was taken and used by somebody else and they weren't credited for it. or written something and they took that and somebody used it and they weren't given credit. Heck, I've actually remember seeing somebody complain about that. I forgot who now, but I remember seeing that where people complain, and it's a reasonable thing. If you took the time out to interview Cliffy B as Incepted did, you know what I mean, and and actually have a discussion with him, I think it's only fair that you have one of the biggest sites in gaming, news aggregates, whatever you want to call it, to properly represent who talked with them. And they also misrepresented what Cliffy B said and him talking with Microsoft. So, or at least reaching out to them and wanting them to reach out to him, should I say. So and then Cliffy B responded to that. So they did a twofold in that situation. And when we talk about clickbait, now IGN isn't a Kotaku, of course. Now they're not to that level, I would say. Kotaku is far worse. But IGN does have their fair share, as we've seen over the years. Like, I can't remember them all, but there are a few I'm sure all of us can remember, right? Remember that one, Bloodborne. There was a fan-made Bloodborne being made where they were talking about it's a demake of Bloodborne, like a pixelated, 8-bit. I'm sure you know. And they made an article or a clickbait title rather that said literally Bloodborne coming to PC. Bloodborne makes its way to PC and Game Pass takes November, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Now, sure, it's coming to PC, but obviously it's a clickbait title because it's a fan-made thing. It's not the actual Bloodborne people would really care about. So they've done it, and as many others I can't think off the top of my head where they clearly clickbaited. Now obviously the one you just mentioned before with them using the guy from the UK trying to list it Suicide Squad down on to for 37% off or whatever it may be. Like, clearly they've done clickbait. I can't remember all of them right now. I wish I could, but they've done it plenty of times.
Yeah, again, they know they've done it. Listen,
they do.
Look, we may not be $1 million conglomerate, but we understand the business, and you have to obviously, forge engagement, or even some people can say farm engagement, like farming for clicks. I saw that in the chat. But this is a straight up lie. You know what I'm saying? And it's gross. And you guys and gals over at IGN are supposed to know better. But you know something? They're so arrogant that they don't, and they don't care, and they think that we are that we don't matter because we're just silly old YouTubers having a dream. Well, the truth of the matter is that I honestly think that we are on a regular basis. And I'm talking about everyone that does content creation. Not everyone, you know what I mean? I'm talking about the ones that you listen to have outclassed them at every corner. We absolutely have. Because we're real gamers. We just like talking about games.
We don't get stuck on tutorial levels of games like they did with what was that? The animated cartoon design game. Cuphead. Yeah, we don't get stuck on stuff like that. But like, my thing is, you're right. They have this very arrogant view, I think, and that's part of the problem. And we've heard it. It's not just them. You heard it from people like Colin Moriarty. They have this very, look down and nose down on content creators type of behavior and attitude. And it's weird because it's like, is this how you all got into this? I don't think you jumped into this thinking, hey, I'm much better than everybody else. I don't believe that was the case. Now, Colin, maybe, I don't know. He seems like he's been stuffy for a long time, but the whole thing is like they get into this position and now it's like, oh, you're not up here. You can't see my hand.
You're not here, peasants.
Exactly. You're beneath me. I just feel like it's a weird thing to have. And look, and I'm an arrogant brother at times, but I never had a thought where I'm just better than somebody like that, right? I think it's weird to have that position. And of course, when you get a position of power as IGN, it's very powerful conglomerate, if you will, but it's weird to get to the point where now you're disconnected from what you're actually doing with just a gamer. And I think that's part of the bigger issue. So when they get arrogant enough to say, hey, this thing you thought you saw that didn't really happen. Your eyes are lying to you. It's like, come on now. That's why what it really is to me. That's probably why I can't really remember everything off the top of my head. I remember seeing them. I just can't remember them all because I stopped caring about what IGN posted. I don't really I didn't block them. I know some people outright block.
Yeah, they're blocked.
See, some people I saw outright blocked them, and I'm not mad at that. And I would suggest those who don't care for them to do the same.
Yeah, mute them.
Anything.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
I just don't pay attention to them. Now, sometimes they'll post something that's worthwhile. That's why I didn't block them, because newsworthy, they will get things sometimes that I would care to see, or maybe like game breaks where, like, for instance, Dragon's Dogma. Oh, it's going to be the game of the week. We're showcase. So I'm
More
not going to
gameplay.
block them because I need to get some of that information, right? Outside of that, though, I don't give them the respect of that. There's a few people there I like, and though he's had his issues, and I know you don't care for him, Boom. Ryan, I have respect for Ryan because of what I respected him because he was with official Xbox magazine years before he ever came to IGN. So I used
to be a huge fan of his, dude. Like, you don't even understand. Like, I've talked to him in DMs.
Yeah.
And he kind of changed who he was. And this goes all the way back to 2014, which is where I fell out of love for the gaming media.
He's put his foot in his mouth many times.
Yeah,
and I remember
he has.
I remember calling him out. I remember somebody else called him out on that whole debacle with the Tomb Raider thing, and he blocked him. I was like, no, they were right. You're being a hypocrite here. Hypocrite here. You called on Xbox as far as, you know, getting exclusivity for Tomb Raider, but then praise Sony for them, you know, getting exclusivity for Final Fantasy. So it was hypocrisy. I said it nicer than they did, so he didn't block me. He might have muted me though. I don't know. But the thing is that he's put his foot in his mouth over time, many times. Heck, I saw a tweet with him the other day. Actually, I'm not going to speak on out of respect to the brother he said it to, but I saw some things, but Ryan, I'm
talking about just recently, right?
Yeah, very recently.
Yeah, we don't. I saw it. I was,
but yeah,
I didn't like it. I'm gonna be honest with you, but I'm not here to defend no one but me.
Yeah. See, Yobi was one of them. Shout out Yobi. He's one of the people who was blocked because of him pointing out his hypocrisy. And I saw him do that to a few people that were blocked.
Yeah.
I remember people talking about that. Now it's a few, like I said, Miranda. You know what I mean? The clearly Destin. Most of us like Destin. I think.
Yeah, you know what? Listen,
I
know people like I said it yesterday. I still watch Destin stuff. He did lose a little bit of me when he tried to. When he used the word crazy, when we were suggesting that there is an actual Xbox tech, so I kind of fell off a bit. I'm not racing to his content as I was, and I really like his work. I do. He just lost me a little bit. I like Miranda a lot too, as well.
Yeah,
you
have to be careful, right? You got to be careful what you say. And to Destin's credit, he sometimes, and even me, I'm probably more prone to it than anybody else I know. Like, I'll say some stuff and I don't mean it quite that way. And I'll be like, well, that's just my vernacular. But I'll say some things I don't quite mean it like that. But it's just me freestyle talking. And I think that's kind of what he fell into. But he did acknowledge when people pointed out, yo, you said we were crazy. He was like, yeah, I'm sorry. I said that. I didn't, he did acknowledge that. And to his credit, he brought in the audience of people who support and watch him in the community and gave everybody a chance to come up there and talk to him, to disagree, whatever. He didn't shut anybody out. I can respect that versus you having a high opinion of yourself and nobody else's opinion matter, that you think they're beneath you. I can respect that. You know what I mean? And he did that, and he did it for like 2 hours or so. He even brought in people I know. You know what I mean? So I can respect that. I don't think many other people with IGN would ever do that. Actually, I think
probably not. No, so, I think he realized that, you got to remember at that particular point, it was only a couple of months prior to that he crossed 100,000 subscribers, and he earned every one of them. I'm not going to front. I wish this channel would hit 100,000, but listen, we're growing. We're just growing at a slow rate. It's fine.
Steady wins the race, they say, right?
Yeah, well, listen, I don't look at other people's grass. Grass here is green. And we Mrs. Boom and I are grateful beyond words. Honestly, if we don't grow anymore, we've kind of made it already. You know what I'm saying? I expect us to grow, of course, but we have nothing to be sad or sorry about. And he did a milestone. He had 100,000 subscribers, and it's well deserved. He did amazing coverage during the ABK thing. He was on point. There was even some times, and obviously, he has small kids. There was times where he was literally just, helping the wife with the kids, and going to do a podcast, do a video. So
Yeah.
you got to give him credit. The guy, he's tenacious.
I'll give him his
I
credit
like
for
that.
sure. And I
Yeah.
like I said, some people sometimes you got to be careful what he say. Like some people might not forgive
we
that,
all
right?
do.
Yeah, we all do. I think the whole crazy line, you got to be careful because some people like I'll hear that and I'm like, I'm not crazy. I wouldn't take it that offensive. Some people might be like, how dare you? I don't know. But I will say this. This is my thing on this, and I said this before we got on live on the whole Suicide Squad thing. There is clearly, if you look back on what's been going on with IGN and WB, do they have smoke with WB? Because I look at the Hogwarts situation, and you heard me complain about Hogwarts so many times. So you look at the Hogwarts situation, which I'm not quite sure what they gave them. It might have been an 8.
No, they gave it a 9 out of 10. I'm pretty sure of it.
So they gave it a good score, right? So but you have this whole thing of, even though they scored it well, there was a discourse. The discourse that happened. The discourse around it. The discourse around it was a negative thing, and that was for a lot of these media sites. Some media sites, they very agenda laden, where they were pushing this thing where, well, we can't support this, and I won't, do this thing because of J.K. Rowling. At points they were pointed part of that, and then you go to Gotham Knights. They were unkind to that. And then you go here to this, and now I'll just to say, I didn't play the full game of full release of Suicide Squad, so I can't fully judge it. But I will say, from that alpha I played, I did not like it. I'm just going to be honest with you. But that's,
and you know what? That is your right as a gamer, brother. Not every game is for every gamer.
Well, my point though with that, Umber, though, because you just said it. Oh, that's the alpha. It's not full release.
Exactly.
The gameplay is not going to change. It's the same thing.
True.
So if you didn't enjoy it, then there's no reason for you to buy the game, justify buying the game, unless a buddy of yours was like, "Yo, Umbra, man, I want to play co-op, man." Maybe you would be like, "You know what, man? I think I got a couple extra dollars on me. Why not? I got extra time playing." You know what I'm saying?
And that's what it is. Like, even the style of it is, I feel like it's not really what I wanted, because it's a game as a service title. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, you have a little story. It's probably 8 hours from what I'm seeing online.
People are coming out there saying it's about 10 hours if you don't do too much of the side missions and stuff like that.
Exactly. And because it's an open world too. So with open world, you got to have real tasks and things like that to do, right? It can't just be, I'm just running around shooting people all day. That won't work for me. And from what I played in that's what it felt like it was going to be. But listen, I'm not trying to, to me, it felt like if I had to describe it, I would say a Fortnite-ish open world type of thing. I don't play Fortnite like that. So it's not really for me, but that doesn't mean it's not for other people. But what I will say is that IGN, and I can understand WB, or at least Rocksteady, in this situation, because like I said, I can see it both ways. You have Rocksteady here and their other games who had narrative issues of people pointing out, like narratively trying to describe something for them, and it put those games off in a way. Now, Hogwarts didn't pay for it because people bought the game in spite of other people complaining about the J.K. Rowling, right? So it succeeded because of protest buys. Now, and it was good. It's a good game. Both, right? Double success. Gotham Knights didn't succeed. Now, WB and Rocksteady, they're like, hold on now. We can't afford this game. We've spent the better part of 9 years working on, and all this budget we placed behind it to flop sales-wise. I can understand fully why they would say, hey, that preview title, and what you said, and when you tried to basically bury this game, saying that we played it, it wasn't good. Yeah, I can see them saying, nah, you ain't getting a copy from me. And listen, we've said it before here, Boom, and I know you said it plenty of times too about Xbox. You do the same. Yeah, if you say that some stuff like that, you ain't getting no copy from me. Play it. You ain't getting a copy. You better go buy it. You better go get it from the mud.
The reason why it's a problem isn't because the game is good or bad. I'm gonna tell you this straight up right now. I bought a $100 edition game. I owe WB Games and Rocksteady Ugats. But I'm gonna tell you this right now. I'm 4 hours in. I got 3.5 hours recorded. I cannot wait for this show to be done to go play some more, because it is a map game. There's a lot to do. It is a Rocksteady story. I am enjoying the H out of the story already. I cannot wait to find out how the hell that Brainiac was able to take over most of the Justice League. I'm in it. I like the RPG elements of it. I like the fact that there are new characters that I've never seen before, like Hack, which you'll find you'll meet
She's
her.
dope.
She's
yeah.
freaking dope, straight up.
A lot of good positives
And
you're taking away
yeah,
from
yeah,
it.
I am enjoying it because it's everything I want. And I'm going to
Yeah.
say this, and this may be unpopular. Why I enjoy it? Because it's very Crackdown 3 like. And I freaking loved Crackdown 3. And
I
I
don't like
love
that.
the fact that this game has kind of a feeling of that. Now, I'm not saying that should sell or deny you. Play it for yourself. Because I had someone reach out to me in the DM. I'm like, look, I'm gonna put up some gameplay. You make your own call. I don't want to be the guy that says, "Oh, you should buy this. You're gonna love it," because I freaking loved Gotham Knights, and I
Yeah.
was not
I like Gotham
sorry.
Knights too.
I
Loved
liked it.
every
I didn't love
freaking
it, but I did
second
like
of
it.
it.
I thought
I
this
did
shit was
like
fire.
it. But
I thought it was fire. I thought it was
it,
fire.
yeah, that's like I like Gotham Knights, and if you played it like
It wasn't perfect, but it was cool.
it wasn't
No,
perfect,
by
right? But it
far,
was
it's not
enjoyable.
perfect.
Yeah,
It was definitely a 7. But
that's where I'm at with it, right? Like it's
it
a
was
good game. It's just not great, right?
Yeah,
But I would say like especially if they would have changed a few things, I think it would have elevated it so much more. But
Oh yeah.
that said, this is my thing on it. So like I say, I see it both ways, right? I do
Mhm.
expect, or I do expect and want, and all of us should, for
Mhm.
these sites and reviewers to be honest. I don't want you to lie to me. If you
1000%.
feel this game is this and it's bad or whatever, say it. I
Stand
don't want
on
you to lie. Some
Mhm.
people want you to lie to them. I'm not one of those people. I
Mhm.
want you to tell me the truth. I like the truth a lot.
Big
Even if it hurts me, I want to hear the
big
truth.
facts. Mhm.
So I expect them to be honest. That's what you should be. We should be in pointing out that we want integrity. That matters, right? We want that. But this is the problem. This is why it's a double-edged sword for IGN, because we say that and they might be honest sometimes. I don't think they're always honest though. And the reason why I think that is because I think it is a bit of access journalism. And this right here is kind of that back end of it where they didn't get access because their journalism was kind of stinging. So that journalism hit the wrong way. And WB is like, well, all these nice benefits you would have got from us from like PR events and things like that, or we're sending you this and that and all this other paraphernalia and merchandise. You're not getting none of that.
Yep.
You said this the game is, you might as well, it's not good and all. You try to bury us basically, right? And
Well,
it's
it
clear
seems
even with the whole,
spiteful.
yeah, it does. And
That's what it
eBay
seems to
thing was
me.
definitely spiteful. Come on, like there's no other way around that, right?
Right.
And to run that in the what's the word I'm looking for, the editor, to see that and say, yeah, that's good, print,
Run with it. Yeah. It's
clearly that
yeah.
was agenda laden, and that clearly you all have some type of issue with them,
Mhm.
and you feel away. And they do, because again, it goes back to the arrogance thing. Well, we're IGN. We should be able to
We're
get
IGN. How
everything.
dare you
Right.
challenge us? Yeah, no.
And this is WB saying, or Rocksteady saying, nah, you
Nah,
don't get,
fam.
you'll get nothing.
You ain't getting it because you don't listen. We already know you're gonna poo-poo it, so it's fine.
Yeah.
Buy a copy. You want to shit on it. Go ahead. It's fine.
Do
This
it on
is
your
only
own, but you're gonna
our
pay for
9
it,
years
though.
worth of life work, but
Yep.
it's okay because you're IGN. So look, I do want to bring in real quick why the quote unquote stealing of a YouTuber's work is in here. Yesterday, Insipid Ghost, who was on last week's Primetime Gaming, obviously I told you in the opening, and if you're a fan of the show, you remember during COVID, he was a major aspect of the show. He was here every Tuesday, and he added a lot of value to the show because he's smart, he's intelligent. Obviously, sorry, the same thing. He's very pointed in his opinion. He's a gamer. He likes to laugh. He has fun. Well, he reached out to me. Now, I know that he interviewed Cliffy B because not only did we talk about it and promote it on Primetime Gaming for him, I listened to it, and it was a freaking awesome interview. I like Cliffy B. He's raw, live, and uncut. Sorry to use your line, Steel Rain. He is who you thought he is. But Insipid Ghost reached out to me because I wasn't unaware of this, and he wrote it on Twitter, folks. He obviously quoted IGN, and this is what Insipid Ghost said live on Twitter. This is frustrating. I literally emailed them my interview where Cliff said as much. They ignored it and they wrote it up a few days later. I know, he goes, it's not wrong in parentheses, but they had a chance to spotlight the effort and the grind. Plus, it's information he gave to me in my interview before. Bummed. So where he's talking about the article that was put out by IGN, F up number 3 in the last couple of days. Cliff Belinsky says Microsoft would ask for his help on Gears of War if they were smart. Now, FYI, Cliffy B responded. And let me find that because hold on a second. I'm sorry. I had it queued, but I had to change it. Damn it, where the hell did I send it? Bloody hell. I said, okay, so here we go. So Cliffy B responded to IGN's post, and he says, clickbait, you fuckers. I said if they were smart, it would be worth it for the PR alone. So that currently has 1,200 likes, 33 bookmarks, 160 retweets, and 71 comments. I don't think IGN responded to him, but a lot of people cheered this on, as I am doing now. But I think ultimately, the interview from Insipid Ghost on XEP, which of course is the Xbox expansion pass, he does some of the best interviews in the business. He has interviewed major personalities within gaming. You should definitely check it out. I'll drop you a link so you can go check it out and just tell him that BoomStick sent you, because I think he needs more people to check out his work. Steal, again, stealing might be a word that's a little bit of a stretch, because obviously Cliff has talked about it publicly, like you were saying, but I think not to credit him on an interview that was just done last week, at least in my opinion, is gross.
No, it's extremely nasty. I mean, again, it just speaks to their value, man. Again, as a creator, that's something that you would never want to see, and again, that's something that we continue to speak out against. It starts coming across as if these bigger conglomerates are fearful of what some people as content creators are able to get out of people, right? You see people like the Iron Lords, they're getting a lot of attention from people. And a lot of jealousy that's following up with it. I haven't seen
gross.
the amount of jealousy
Iron
from
Lord's
the gaming community.
one of the best shows in the business,
crazy.
honestly.
It's crazy, but the amount of work that they get, and because they do feel like home, and it feels comfortable, and it feels like they're going to give good conversation, and Carl's going to answer the right questions, and it's just when people give you an environment like that is not so corporate feeling, like, oh man, I got to come in here with the tie all up, and unless you're somebody like Phil who kind of just throws your I am who I am. I mean, you guys are going to like it or not. I'll apologize for what I need to apologize for and move on. Where it just comes across real nasty, man. And shout out to Ghost. He's been doing great work in the community for some time. Stuff like this is what continues to keep some content creators down. And are they going to adjust it, change it, apologize? Probably not. Nobody's going to force them to. And again, they're not going to, for the exact reason that I just brought up, that information, he's put similar information out there for quite some time. And because of that, they're going to be like, oh, well, sure, you might have sent us something, but we've been working on this piece for X amount of time. And it's just like, come on, dude. Like, you essentially just almost took the same wordage that I even used and what was going on. So it's just, you got to expect better. We got to continue to hold these people's feet to the fire at all points, and continue to raise up other people who are pillars in our community and I believe, right? Oh, go support LogNet, go support Game On Daily, go support all these different people, ACG, if that's somebody that you're into, so that we can, as the consumer, can dictate who we want kind of representing us in the forefront, right? And I think that's what's been missing for quite some time, along also with the representation. And I know we're going to get into that a little bit with who's at the top of Activision now. So, but yeah, man, it's crazy to see. We got to continue to speak out on it in every way, shape, and form, and then go from there, man. But it's crazy. Wow.
Yeah, it's disappointing, and again, they continue to just lay it down. The disappointment. Sorry, it's you are supposed to be better. You are supposed to be more professional, and at every turn in the like I said, just look at their record in the last 48 hours since this whole debacle of we're not getting a code, so it's not right. Looking for sympathy, but again, this stems, Umbra, from many things that they've done before, and it seems as if if I got Steele's point, they're getting so big that they may believe their own lies, that they're infallible, and that is not in fact the case. This is gross, and it should not be tolerated by anyone, whether you know Insipid personally like I do or you don't. I think that, you know what, why not give the guy his credit and link his stuff? Because IGN is fearful. They are afraid of the content creation community overshadowing their shitty work. And
And
it's
you know
happening.
what, Boom? In my opinion, they should be.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. They should be afraid.
Now that's not to say that there are some quote unquote content creators who are absolutely trash, because there are too. But there are
Plenty of them,
some who
absolutely.
put in excellent work, who absolutely deserve more people to watch them and to take in what they say versus IGN. There's no question about it in my head, right? So while I say, yeah, they should be worried about that, and I'm sure that's why they are, because they saw that change, that shift when the whole COVID situation happened, where everybody was kind of now doing the podcasting thing, and they weren't just all in the studio together. Now they have to kind of compete in that way. Now they're going to win out because they're IGN, at least for now, until the next big thing comes along, right? But my thing is, they do have this weird thought process. You're right that they have. I think there's a bit of arrogance there, where they think they're better
Maybe a
than,
god complex, even.
possibly. And again, we've seen it from some of them. Some of them, the way they talk, they kind of have that air of them, the air about them. Well, you're this thing, you're this content creator. You make little videos. We've seen it. We've heard them talk
Yep.
like that.
Mhm.
So I don't doubt that one bit, but it is disrespectful. And imagine how much more that would have meant for somebody like Insipid to actually
Exactly.
share that, hey,
Yep.
this is the person that interviewed Cliffy B. It's disrespectful, but it's also like you just literally, trashed, or at least not trash. What's the word I want to use? You big dogged him and left him hanging, where that could have been something monumental for him, where he could have gained support from more people and things like that. And how do you know what that matters and means to him? And you just take that and say, oh, we're going to run with this instead, and leave him out. It's like, no, if you want to interview Cliffy B, then you put the work in to get him there and ask him these questions. If you're going to just ignore the person who asked him these things, it's pretty disrespectful, and it's something they need to correct. It's not something that we should have to point out, like, yo, you're going to ignore the person who interviewed him. That's pretty disrespectful. It's not something that has to be told to anybody, right? When you're doing wrong. When you're stepping
You're
on
supposed to
somebody's
know better
foot.
for sure.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
they definitely know better. And and this is the thing about how they know better. They wouldn't have done this to somebody more well known. If it was somebody more well known, let's say I don't know.
Do you think they would have done this to ACG or Skill Up?
No, they wouldn't have, and neither of them would have allowed them to get away with it either. And that's the thing, right? If it had been any of them, let's say it would have been Paris, for instance, right? Would they have done that? No, they would have.
No, they
Him
would
the
not
due
have done that to
respect.
Paris either. They
Of
would have
course,
not done that to Greg
yeah.
Miller. They
Now
would
they
not
have
have done that to
connections to
Kind of
them, of
Funny.
course, right?
Yeah.
But still, the fact is they're known. They're a known commodity. They would have given them their due because they're known. But because he's not as known, like, oh, we don't have to mention you. It's disrespectful, and
Yeah.
it speaks to arrogance for sure. I think so. Yeah, it's definitely, and I don't know. I know Insipid was upset by it, of course, and he should be. I don't know how much it meant to him versus anything else, as I haven't spoken or heard him speak on it outside of his tweet pointing it out. But
I spoke to him in the background. He was hurt. He was
Yeah.
disappointed. He was very disappointed because obviously I mean this. I'm not trying to drive anybody or be disingenuous. I'm saying that IGN is supposed to know better. And there was a point where IGN wasn't a $1 million conglomerate. And you know what? I understand the news is out there, fair game. We're going to run with it. But does it really hurt you to kind of point towards this dude's work, knowing that that's where this quote came from?
It wouldn't have hurt them. It wouldn't have hurt them to do that.
It actually would have maybe marked them up a little bit. Like,
Yeah.
oh, maybe they actually do have a soul over there.
But maybe they do have some integrity to highlight, a smaller content creator comparatively, right?
Disgusting.
It probably brought about some goodwill. Somebody asked a question in the chat, and you helped me out on this, Boom, because I don't know. But Jay Lewis, shout out to you, brother. He asked, why did he send his interview to IGN knowing their record?
I see, and again, is that can you say that's a rookie mistake? Because I actually got asked that question by several people. Some people say yes. I say he had faith in the system.
Sometimes you gotta shoot your shot, man.
Shot. That's actually I said that to Everborn this morning, as a matter of fact. Yep.
Whether or not you truly support those people or not, I don't know Insipid's true feelings about IGN. He probably definitely feels much different about them now if there's any type of change. But sometimes you got to shoot your shot out there, man. You send an email, you show somebody you can do some good work. That's what people tell you to do, right? You get on LinkedIn, people want you to send videos to potential hires. You want to get a job somewhere. People say, hey, instead of just sending an email, send them a little short clip, 30 seconds, introduce yourself, so people can actually feel who you are, because that tells so much more about a person versus words on paper or anything else like that, or a resume sometimes. So it's just, sometimes you got to shoot that shot. And do you get shot in the foot sometimes? Yeah, but you know what that means? That opportunity wasn't right for you. And I get maybe not everybody sees it that way, and it takes a lot of I would say internal guidance maybe, or patience to kind of see it that way. But that's the reality of it. Anything that's worthy of your time, or is meant for you, is going to be given to you, no matter what you believe in. That's just a fact of life, right? You want negative, you're going to bring negative. You want some positive, you're going to bring some positive. Is there going to be some kind of force that's going to try you and make you feel like, man, is this even worth it at all? Yes. Why? Because we're human. So it's just like, at the end of the day, everybody has their own trials and tribulations. I feel like that was a good move for him. I personally wouldn't have done it because I don't have that faith in IGN. They wouldn't be somebody that I reach out to, but maybe there's a different conglomerate that I would reach out to and say, hey, maybe a Kind of Funny or something like that. Although they are kind of skewed too, but whoever it may be, just to kind of put you out, because maybe he wants to be in that business. You know what I mean? There's so many of us that want to be more entrenched in gaming.
He took a chance. I don't fault him on that at all. I think it's
a beautiful thing to see.
I think Steele, to your point and to Umber's point, he was attempting to suggest, hey, man, IGN's pretty big. Yeah. If they were to mention me, maybe that will get me some freaking traction.
10K. I mean, the right thing could have happened. He could have got 10K over a little bit, just because they're Cliffy B fans or whatever the case. They're like, oh man, I wasn't even aware, dude. And boom, they can flood his Patreon, whatever the case. Again, you never know how you could change somebody's life. Yeah. I just saw a streamer do it with somebody else. Shout out to Tim. Regardless how people feel about it, these types of streamers do those types of things. They don't have to. Nobody has to give you a handout, just like nobody has to give you a review code. You could review the game the same day, especially after you were given a preview. I get if we've never seen the game. Yeah, I would be worried. Oh, I didn't get a review 2 weeks out. That worries me. But if we've already seen what it looks like, it's just, again, that's why I mentioned in the beginning. It just feels like we're constantly in a circle with IGN, but we have to be, because they are up here, and we as podcasters who are seeing it as like gaming podcasts, especially who are seeing kind of on the bottom end of the totem pole, we just got to keep screaming at the top of our lungs, man. See if something changes.
Yeah, and I think you made great points there because it goes back to the old saying: you miss all the shots, you miss 100% of the
Exactly.
shots you don't take, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Exactly.
You know, my father used to say, oh, my pop said a lot of things, man, which is what made me the man that I am today. But one of the things that he was very steadfast about is, A, don't be afraid to ask for help, and B, the whole shoot your shot thing. He literally would say that. Listen, if you don't try, you're gonna fail 100% of the time, Craig. And I'm like, yeah, he's right. He's 100% right. And again, this is one of those things that, unfortunately, he shot his, took his shot, and
Mhm.
IGN unfortunately did what they are now starting to be known for, and that is not a good place to spend time, not a good place to give them views, likes or subs. That's just my take, but I want to move on, gentlemen. But before we do, there are a couple of things. I try to run this commercial twice a week. I'm doing it back to back. This is a small channel, as you know. And when we get a chance to partner up, and we've had many, many offers, we get at least half a dozen a week, from controllers to controller accessories to video equipment. And we're very selective of who we're going to partner with, because our brand is built from a mom and pop ground up kind of mentality. And we don't, pardon my French, whore out this brand for anything or anyone. But the Volari Gaming Pillow is a company that, like Double Barrel Gaming, is small. They're a small company out of Dubai. Their owner is an amazing person. I have had a chance to talk to him numerous times. And they had reached out to Mrs. Boom and I and said, "Hey, listen, we have this gaming pillow. Um, we'd like to send you one, and if you like it, maybe we could do a partnership." So I got the pillow. I
Mhm.
quite enjoyed it. And as someone who has surgically repaired spinal cord, it freaking works. It works for me. Anyone that has a back problem, you understand exactly what I'm talking about. We hunch over when we play. This keeps your posture. It keeps your hands right in front of you with the controller, and it works. Now, the one that I currently use is the one that was gifted to me by King David himself of the Iron Lords. It's an Iron Lords podcast branded pillow. It's
I gotta
dope.
get one.
It is really good. Small tidbit: there is a potential double barrel gaming pillow coming.
Ooh.
Their artist sketched the new logo. It freaking looks crazy good. We're hoping to get that done. But this is the commercial. Obviously, I had it made because I'm not a cue card kind of a guy, and I think visuals are better than you hearing me talk about it outside of my personal experience. And this commercial was done by the very talented Sean Labrie, who is an amazing artist and basically transformed the channel in basically a year with all the work that he's done. So check it out and let me know what you think. And as you saw at the end of the commercial, folks, if you use the code DBG15 at checkout, you will save 15% off of your total order. Obviously, again, you can take my word for it. You can check out the reviews. They have hundreds of people that have reviewed it and love it. And obviously, they're partnered with Iron Lords as well. You hear them talk about it on Sundays, and it does absolutely work. But I kind of want to just quickly read out some of the super chats. We have quite a few of them. First of all, Highlander 001 has just, once again, he has donated 5 Double Barrel Gaming memberships. We are over 300 members. That's just crazy, to be honest with you. And we are incredibly grateful for the consistent support from you guys and gals. And of course, Highlander does it once again. We have Sir X-Man, who drops a very generous $2 super chat and says, IGN, you reap what you sow. Developers are tired of you. And that's a fantastic point. Fantas Archer drops a very generous $5 super chat and says IGN better be careful. All it takes is an independent investigative journalist to produce a scathing documentary, and that might impact them heavily. Yeah, I don't know if like a Schreier would go against an IGN. Well, then again, he has no loyalty. That guy's a snake. If there was a story for him to put his name on, poo-pooing somebody, he would do it. So yeah, I don't know if IGN. I think IGN has to worry because back to back to back, things that happened in public in the gaming media in the last 48 hours or so is just does it just looks poor on them. I just hope more people see who they are and stop going to them. Don't give IGN your click, your view, your like. It just don't, because they're crap. And they're gonna lie to you, which they did, and it's gross. Torino Johnson drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, just a little support, Boom, brother. It's far from a little. And we appreciate the generosity. And of course, Torino, thank you so much for being here. And Ryu Gaming, or Ryu Art Gaming, drops a very generous $2 super chat and says, Steel Rain, no bashing IGN. We're trying to get a job there. I wouldn't work there if they gave me 6 digits. I could care less. Okay, so I want to talk about a story that I'm very excited. One of the things you folks know about Mrs. Boom and me is people matter. And in an industry that is driven by creatives who are doing a job that they went to school for and probably have a ridiculous amount of student debt, and they find these jobs doing something that they love, you always want to root for said people to get a good job that pays well, take care of their family, and be in a workplace that is safe and secure. That has not been the case for many years at Activision Blizzard, specifically Blizzard. Now, obviously, ABK has happened. Microsoft owns them fully, regardless of what the FTC tries to do. And, well, last week they announced 1,900 people were being let go, which is devastating. And part of that transition, some of it was overlapping, as we know what happens in M&As, but some of it wasn't, Steel Rain. One of those removals or step downs, if you will, was Mike Ybarra, who was the president of Blizzard. He is no longer. He has obviously, we talked about it last week. He has decided to walk away from the game. Where he ends up next, well, I don't know, but he's not at Blizzard. And now I don't know if I'm pronouncing her name correctly. It's Johanna Faries.
Fair?
At least,
Yes, I think.
yeah, Fairs, Fars.
Mhm.
Yeah, I pronounced it yesterday as Fairs, but I could be saying it wrong. I think, and I want to make sure I get it right. As anyone can correct me, yeah, I think it's Faries, but again, that's how it's spelled, so that's how I'm going to put it out there. So, who is Johanna? Well, she put out a tweet that I'm going to read verbatim. She is very educated. She has a very stout LinkedIn, which I will read verbatim as well. And she said this in a tweet from her official X account. Hi all. Today, I sent the below note to Blizzard Entertainment. As for X, I plan to stay in listen mode here, but trust I'm tuned in. As for me, a typical day equals work life, yoga life, plus games life. Currently on a heavy rotation, Diablo 4, Call of Duty, Baldur's Gate 3, feeling blessed and grateful onward. Now, I do have her very, very detailed Dear Blizzard letter in front of me. I'm just going to read the opening line because, like I said, the podcast is is not really the place for it. I'm going to link this in the show notes. So if you want to check it out, you can definitely read it for yourself. This is what she had to say to open her letter to now the employees that she is going to be overseeing. Though my official first day with you all is February 5th, I want to let you know immediately that it is an honor to join you next week in this new capacity. I do so humbly and in awe of all that Blizzard has stood for and delivered to the world over 30 years. Today also brings in some mixed emotions. The loss of talented teammates in recent days is hard to hold side by side with the immense excitement I feel about joining Blizzard and building on the momentum you've created for Blizzard's next chapter.
Mhm.
Now, I'm just going to read the bottom half of it so you folks can, again, it's context, folks. You know what? Give me 5 minutes. Let me read the whole thing. It's not
Okay.
going to be long. I want to thank Matt for the introduction. I believe she means Matt Booty. Bring some further clarity to today's announcement and to share more about how I see our future together at Blizzard. I understand this is a lot to take in. The news of my appointment may no doubt bring up a range of reactions, questions, even concerns. Activision, Blizzard, and King are decidedly different companies with distinct games, cultures, and communities. It is important to note that Call of Duty's way of waking up in the morning to deliver for our players can often differ from the stunning games in Blizzard's realm, each
Mhm.
with different gameplay experiences, communities that surround them, and requisite models of success. I've discussed this with the Blizzard leadership team, and I am walking into this role with sensitivity to those dynamics and deep respect for Blizzard as we begin to explore taking our universes to even higher heights. I am committed to doing everything I can to help Blizzard thrive with care and consideration for you and for our games, each unique and special in their own right. I'm optimistic about our ability to serve our current and future player communities and to further amplify the shared passion for greatness, polish, and creative mastery that is a hallmark of Blizzard's approach to game making. Next week, I will be in Irvine, and I am eager to connect with as many of you as possible. I will be scheduling informal and totally optional meet and greets where I want to hear more from people across the organization. Those of you who cannot make it to those gatherings aren't located in Irvine, please feel free to email me. We are also planning a town hall meeting to be held in the near future. And in closing, folks, a few personal facts about me. My number one job in life is raising two amazing boys. In addition to parenthood, a typical week for me includes finding time for daily yoga and prayer, and of course, playing video games. Big Diablo 4 fan over here. The joy I find in games and working with those who make them only deepens. I will remain inspired by Blizzard's iconic legacy and the transformative role gaming has played in my life and in the lives of others. I cannot wait to get going, to listen, to learn, to empower, and to collaborate with all of you on our bold and bright future together. Finally, she says, together, may we forge many legendary days ahead. I got goosebumps. I'm not even going to
Mhm.
front. And I didn't want, again, thank you for allowing me to read it because I thought that it was important. Um, on her LinkedIn, Steel Rain, she has again a very detailed experience. She has been with Activision Blizzard for 5 years and 6 months. Prior to that, she spent almost 12 years with the National Football League, of course, the NFL.
Mhm.
She was vice president of club business development and her schooling, her education from 1999 to 2003. She has a BA from Harvard University. I mean, again, I'm just learning of Johanna for the first time, like everyone else. Based on where she's been and how she has presented herself, I think she's a leader that they need. What are your thoughts, man?
Oh man, well, I guess we'll end up seeing. I think my perspective that I'll come from, because from what I have seen and from what I've heard in the past, is because of her being in charge of the more so competitive scene for COD. A lot of people were are of the mind that she, and I know it's kind of obvious from what we've seen at the competitive scene for Call of Duty, that she's been absent as a leader. She's provided no input, and that she is at a loss as far as what the Call of Duty community needs. And again, I feel like some of that is represented in what we've seen from Call of Duty within the last 5 years, if anything. Um, so with that taken into consideration, I would hope that she is more so meant for that top of the line position, because not everybody is a gamer or knows how to get into the roots of some of the particular issues that may be going on within a certain business. Competitive gaming has gone kind of a completely different direction over the years. Not as many people, I would say, care about it as much. And I mean that more so, like, it's not as cool. They always talk about your KD and stuff all the time like it used to be. Not everybody judges you that way. And so I think there's been quite a decline, but I also just think that because there's been no creativity within that scene to make it interesting. Because if anybody's watched competitive gaming for any of their favorite games, for me, Halo, Gears, I find those things interesting, but I'm also, some people would say, would be known as a sweaty. So it's like, depending on what your perspective is, I think that's the main thing when you're speaking to the gamers, right? You're speaking to the core, as we tend to try to always do. That's the perspective that I want to bring to the table here. If I'm going to speak to the core, then for the Call of Duty community, for the people that feel like she has not been a representative, then then this may not be a good move. Because there's no telling, up to this point, she hasn't made any changes that really reflect Call of Duty in a positive manner under Bobby Kotick. But again, that could change with her having more power. I don't know. We'll see. People like to paint themselves one way online. It's very easy to do that. Oh, I like to play this, or I do this, or I'm all these different things. The only person that's been proven to kind of be more so that way truly is Sarah Bond.
Yes.
Now, but even Sarah Bond, I don't think, and again, I'm nothing against her, but I don't think she has as much time as maybe, and I don't even think Phil has the time, but he makes it happen. So it's just like, that's what I mean, or more so by, if you're going to represent a community, if you listen to what's been kind of going on behind the scenes, what people are kind of talking about. The only thing that I could do is hope that she, and that Microsoft and that Matt Booty and all, and the people that are involved in these conversations of moving her up, that it's for all the right reasons. Again, Phil has Sarah underneath her, and she hasn't been a bad draft pick. So it's like, I mean, if they're kind of undefeated so far as the gaming division goes. Now I don't know if you wanted to get into the whole thing with why is his name escaping me right now? He's about to get moved out of Activision Blizzard, for the top of Blizzard, I should say. Mike Ybarra.
Okay.
Yeah, no, speak on it, brother. Yeah. Speak on it. But obviously, it's part of the conversation. Again, obviously, Johanna, she is the incoming president. Mm-hmm. Mike is the outgoing president. Mm-hmm. Please, but this is a conversational podcast. Go crazy, bro.
The main thing, and I also want to include, it is important though, for Johanna to be in that position, just as a person of color, for me at least. I know that might not speak to everybody, but it's been such a long time for me at least, especially being young, where I just didn't see that. That's why I didn't think it was possible, right? So again, representation matters, but nonetheless, I'll leave that there. Because we could go into a whole thing about that.
No, but it's an important factoid. I'm glad you mentioned it.
Let people prove themselves, and we'll go from there. As far as Mike Ybarra being moved out, I know he made some statements as far as they would have to drag him kicking and screaming out of Blizzard if he was ever going to leave, especially with the whole transition and everything, being back up under Microsoft. there's just been some things seemingly behind the scenes, as we're getting a little bit more information about it, that seemingly comes across as if maybe Ybarra might have been part of some of the issues that were going on. Now we don't know. It'll probably be all behind the scenes. It's probably part of the reason why he's leaving. Maybe I don't know. We would never be able to justify, or unless he writes a book or a memoir of some sort. So it's just weird seeing somebody who is that passionate, unless there was some form of something deeper going on, why he would just get moved out, or he would go against what he just stated previously. You don't go from, oh, you're gonna have to drag me out kicking and screaming, I'm excited, to, oh yeah, I'm gonna go vacation. Like, nah, it hasn't even been a year yet. What happened?
Right.
So that tells me there's a few different things. And the other thing too, some people want to be a leader. Maybe what Microsoft saw, they sat down and had that meeting with Matt Booty, talks about it. When Matt Booty said, I had to sit down with Ybarra, it comes across like there was some more serious things to discuss.
Yeah.
Some straightening, if you will.
Yeah, a little bit. He needed a little bit of straightening. Yeah, for sure. So it's like, and maybe Ybarra just wasn't the greatest leader, right? Sometimes you have a leader, sometimes you have somebody in that spot, you got somebody who you feel is more ideal, and if you give them an opportunity to step down, it's very much in their right to be like, why would I step down? I'm not. That's a backhanded thing to them. That could be very well the situation also. Who knows? Maybe that's why he's out of the way now. But it's just, I don't know. For as long as some of these devs are in here, a lot of the corporate people stay in the gaming industry, it's just weird to see somebody passionate and then decide that they want to go vacation not that much longer. There's just so many things that we can kind of speculate and get into and try to figure out why that happened. But again, definitely shout out Johanna. It's dope to see her come in again. I'm pretty sure Mike's gonna be given a wonderful severance package, so you don't have to. He doesn't have to worry about that. He'll never have to worry for his time. But yeah, man, that's dope to see. We'll see what comes out of it. Hopefully, the community. She does more for the overall Activision. Maybe that's a better role for her, and we get people that represent get some people underneath her, like Phil does with himself. So.
No, I mean, fantastic stuff. Umbra, look, when I talk about the human element, I don't say it because it's a hot topic word to use to make me cool or seem caring. I care about people. Mrs. Boom and I put this community first and foremost, as that's like what we built this whole channel on, was being transparent and inclusive and welcoming, and we've done that, and I'm proud of the work that we've done. Where that has not been prevalent in years is Blizzard. Now, I'm not throwing all of the blame onto Mike at all, because obviously I don't know him personally. I've had him on a show once. Yes, he's actually a guest on a fundraiser that I did for Cognito. And Wilmy Hood was a big part of that as well. Mike joined us, and we kind of told some stories, and we appreciated him being there. Now, obviously, I'm not saying that I have personally heard. This is out in the ether. This is out in the people have talked about this on the socials, that apparently there was some bad blood when he left Xbox to go to Blizzard, and that bad blood might have still been a problem. Could potentially, he's no longer there. What I'm hoping for to happen for Blizzard employees, the actual humans that make the games that we all love and that we all look forward to, is that Johanna can come in. She's going to run things her way, and hopefully her way is inclusive. Her way is caring and listening. And I understand it's a corporate structure. I am not a boob. I understand that. But people make these games. And for many, many years, Umbra, they were in a position and in an environment that was not welcoming, that was hostile, that was uncomfortable to work in. New leadership hopefully means new ideology. What are your thoughts on this, man?
Yeah, I think absolutely new leadership absolutely leads to that. I mean, her track record, she has a a crazy good resume, right? Having worked with the NFL for what 11 years,
Almost 12 years, actually. Yeah.
absolutely. Moving on to being, commissioner and everything else like that with Activision for Call of Duty. I know some people posted some FUD about, well, oh, she's coming from Activision to Blizzard, she's gonna cause this issue. People are worried about that part of it because those have been split largely with them handling their own parts. So now people are worried that because she's the president over, Blizzard as well, now it's going to be problematic because of Activision. I don't think that's going to be the case. And I don't think Microsoft just, makes any picks or selections off of whims. Like, clearly, one, being a woman, was an obvious, I don't want to say, how do I put this? I feel like she's super qualified. It's not even a question. Super intelligent woman. If you haven't heard her speak, I watched the video on her just talking at this college and stuff. Super eloquent. She knows her stuff. They're going to put somebody in that role, be they man or woman, who isn't going to have a repeat of what we had before. So that's part of that. You know what I mean? And I don't want to say that to say they only put her there for that. But it's
basically someone tried to use this yesterday, and it makes me nauseous. Where she just fits all the check boxes. That's please don't
it's
do
more
that.
Than that.
It is way more than that.
She's
just
qualified.
Because she's a woman of color and she's a woman doesn't mean that but she's checking boxes, because that's like, I've heard some people try to equate
diversity
that to,
hire and all that nonsense.
Don't do that. Don't do
this
that.
lady is outclassed as many of the people you would point to. So there's no question there. She's qualified, but it's double edged, right? So she's qualified. She has the knowledge. She has the business acumen. But what it is too is that they're going to put somebody there who is not going to have a repeat of what they had. This is why Microsoft is viewed as one of the best, because they don't allow that stuff, right? So they're going to put somebody there who's going to have a low risk of that repeat happening. The thing about Mike Ybarra, though, that I heard, and it's kind of crazy, and I didn't think the guy was bad, but we don't truly know anybody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You see the whole Vince McMahon situation. And it's like, and it's like we knew Vince we knew Vinny.
I knew he was off, but I didn't know he was that off.
Damn. We didn't know he was out there naming things after people.
Oh man,
you're going against The Rock tonight. We didn't know that. We didn't.
That was a little wild. That was definitely a little wild.
You'll be facing The Undertaker. We didn't know that. We didn't know that. But despite his depravity, you would think, he's just this businessman, billionaire.
Right.
Some of these people are weird like that. And for all we know, I'm just throwing it out there. I don't know. But from what I've heard, boom, going to what you were talking about with Ybarra was, he was part of that thing. And we have a specific person that works in Exile who I cannot believe went out there and said what he said, but he flat out,
who will remain nameless here.
I got his whole name right here.
Him on blast. In fact, he said he was the center problem.
He said he was 100% a part of the problem in regards to Blizzard's culture, retention, and safety. He knew what was coming. He refused to stand up for those who were forced to RTO regardless of health, income, distance, etc. He ruined lives, he says. Like this is a very specific, and this guy didn't do this off some burner account. This dude did this off of his main, where it says, "Hey, where I work at," and he's standing on it, and because he's saying, "Listen, I work in Exile. This is what I'm saying." Now, how much more secure can you get from somebody who's on their main account saying that? That's pretty damning. Right? So you have that, and then you couple that. Well, you could say, well, maybe he's just got sour grapes. Okay, sure. Right? We don't know that. But then you go back to what you pointed out a minute ago, Steele, with that it's kind of like the Jim Ryan situation. We have precedents to show that Sony absolutely will excommunicate some people out of there unceremoniously. Well, they had a little thing for him, and it gave away cookies with his face on it. Sure. But that doesn't mean they didn't force him into that position and retired him, right? Look how they got rid of Layden, escorted him out of the building like he was trash.
That dude got escorted out by security with a box in his hand, and thrown out like rubbish.
We didn't get a chance to grab his family photos. So you got this whole situation with that. So for what I'm saying this for is to say, typically, a lot of people ignore the signs, but where there's smoke, there's fire. You can't have that repeatedly happen, and that happens now with Jim Ryan. And we're like, most of us, at least, I would argue in the community, are kind of like, yeah, they retired him, or he got retired. They're just dressing it up. You can't have that. And the situation that happened with I forgot the lady. What's her name? I can't remember. Just a bunch of unceremonious kind of removals. I can't remember her name right now, but she was also with Sony that helped usher in like Sony.
Oh, you're talking about the one that did about 120. She
Yeah,
was the producer for 120 of their games dating
I
back
don't remember her
to the
name right now,
PlayStation
but you know who I'm
2.
talking about. But you can't have all those things happen, and it's like, this is nothing, it's fine. Same thing with Ybarra here. You had that situation happen. You have this guy speaking out, and then to Steel Rang's point, you had Matt Booty having a sit down talk with him, and suddenly his story doesn't match up with what Jason Schreier pointed out. He told him. Yeah, that doesn't happen. That's not some weird coincidence. Well, I changed my mind. Connie Booth, thank you, General Spartan.
Thank you, General. Super,
and that's the thing.
Big
You don't
fans of
have
Zartra.
these odd inconsistencies from nothing. He can't have told Jason Schreier, who he knows is one of the most trusted, people out there in reporting the situation or news in general as it concerns the industry, and then suddenly like, oh no, I just want to travel around and go fishing, and something happened, right? So I don't know what it was. We don't know, but the speculation is twofold. I've heard not only about him and with this gentleman here from in exile saying that he was part of it, but we also heard, of course, that there was turmoil with him and feeling he was passed over by Phil. He had smoke with Phil, and now Phil is the head and CEO of Microsoft Gaming. Maybe he's like, nah, I'm not taking orders from this dude. And I say that, listen, I don't like authority over me. Maybe he felt the same. Like, I don't want this dude who got passed over. I got passed over for telling me and dictating to me. Who knows? But it's weird because you saw, and this is another thing that contradicts, because we saw when Phil was brought on stage at that BlizzCon thing or Blizzard situation when they were welcoming him there.
Excited.
He seemed super excited. He seemed tearful almost, like he was about to cry. He looked on the verge of tears, where he was excited about this new direction they were headed. And then suddenly he's like, now I'm going to go travel the world. No, we're missing a piece.
Yeah,
that doesn't, we're not got the whole, we're missing something. That said, with Johanna, and I think it's just Faries, by the way, literally like Faries.
Faries, okay, yeah, I figured as much, but
you can never tell. Like, oh no, it's Faris or something, and you never know. But no, the thing with her is, I have nothing but confidence in her doing what she does. If we talk about merit and all that, you're not going to argue that, oh well, she doesn't have the expertise and all that. The lady has it all. So that's not even a real argument to make. And if you're making that argument, you're on the wrong side of things, just being honest. I expect good things from her. I just hope, well, I don't hope. I know that Microsoft is not going to just let this flounder.
No, they're not going to allow that. Someone else in there to do what was just removed.
It's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
Yep. So I think it's a good sign of things to come for them. Hopefully, that she fosters more creativity for them and allows for that. Maybe, I guess that's the only thing I could say. I don't know her track record on that type of part on the creative side, but I don't think she's going to stifle anybody if they come to her with good ideas either. So we'll see what happens. But shout out to Johanna and welcome.
Yeah, I'm all for change, especially in an environment that was considered incredibly toxic.
Absolutely.
And like I said, I don't want to sound like I'm a bleeding heart, folks, here, but people matter, like super important to me. They have been. That's what made me have the kind of career that I had as a New York City police officer. I arrested a lot of bad dudes, man. I have an extensive arrest record, but you know what I was never accused of? Abuse. You know what I never did? Shoot somebody or hurt anyone. I can actually say with confidence that I did a job that's extremely taxing mentally and very, very dangerous. And I never had to hurt anyone. And what you see here right now is how I was in uniform. That's why they coined officer friendly, because I enjoyed being a good guy. I still enjoy being a good guy. And when you have toxic situations where you're stuck, it is a very, very upsetting situation to be in when you have to be here. You have to feed your family. You have to pay your mortgage. I'm just happy that change, regardless of what size of change is going to happen, is
Mhm.
potentially going to happen, and we'll know by this time next year what roots she has put down to bring change to an environment that was just not a good place to work. We do have one topic left. This one is a fun one. And this, of course, is I have to give credit where credit is due. Special Nick, a great friend of this show, magnificent friend of the community, one of the lead voices over at Xbox Era with
Shout out to
John.
Nick.
Yeah, Nick is just he's Nick.
Just talked with him the past week. We had him on the show.
Yeah, he's good dude. Yeah, he's actually had a lot of stuff to say on your show, as a matter of fact, that kind of raised a few eyebrows. Real quick, we have to thank Highlander 001, generous friend of the program, on top of gifting 5 Double Barrel Gaming memberships, folks. He has dropped another $2 super chat and says, I would trust gas station sushi before I trust IGN. And well, you're not wrong. You're not wrong there.
You're adventurous.
So I have it in front of me now. Thanks to Idle Sloth, the human/cyborg, he's been very busy, and he had put out a tweet. Now I'm gonna Caluso this for you folks. And if you don't know who Inspector Caluso is, talking about the Pink Panther, I'm old. Sorry.
You know what I thought you were saying? I thought you were talking about was it David Caruso from? I thought you were gonna be like, yeah, pull out some shades or something.
That's hilarious. I love that. I put out a tweet yesterday, and it says this: for your information, or FYI, Volition veterans have formed a new studio called Shapeshifter Games after Volition Studio Saints Row was recently shut down by Embracer Group. The studio headquarters is in Champaign, Illinois, and is intended to be a co-developed studio. Let me just extend this. According to the listing, the studio specializes in open world games, Unreal Engine 5, Umbra, console development, and co-development, and obviously it has all of their information there.
Indeed.
So that's a big deal. So why is this important? It's important, folks, because Shapeshifter Games, thanks again to Idle Sloth, he put it out there on the socials, is currently working with Xbox Game Studios on an unannounced title. So, well, they made Saints Row. They're specialized in open world games. What we know that Xbox is exploring back catalogs, right? Well, AJ Nelson, who is a part of this studio, he is a principal lighting artist, art manager. And he says this in his LinkedIn: I'm happy to share that I'm starting a new position as expert lighting artist at Shapeshifter Games and co-developing on an Xbox Game Studio project. So, Special Nick, and I love him for this because I talked about it in the opening. I am a Crackdown fan, and I don't care what anyone says about Crackdown 3. It's dope. It's still dope, and I want a sequel. I want a AAA budgeted sequel to bring back one of the best IPs from the Xbox 360 days. And I'm nerding out here. It's fine. So this is what he says, King Gronk Nick, but it's actually Special Nick of the Xbox era. He said in a tweet this, folks: sees ex-Volition developer form studio. Sees they're helping on an Xbox game. Sees they made Agents of Mayhem, which, by the way, is dope AF. I freaking love that game. That was amazing. And finally, he says, please be Crackdown 4. Please be Crackdown 4. Please be Crackdown 4. Now, again, this is a fun topic. Obviously, you come to these shows to have fun. Steel Rain, look. I compared Suicide Squad. It is a looter shooter. It is maybe not what people expected from Rocksteady, who is known for the Arkham series, which by any stretch of the truth is god tier development. They look amazing. They play amazing even now, right? This game that you're seeing in front of you, for me, as the gamer has like a lot of Crackdown vibes. That's why I'm so attracted to it. And then whenever I see the story, the simple question is this: does Xbox need a Crackdown reboot or a Crackdown 4? Uh-oh, Steele. Did I lose him? Oh, he's muted.
No, I'm right
Muted.
here. My fault.
Yeah.
I was laughing. My fault. Outside of the first Crackdown, I don't like Crackdown. And I'll never go
Yeah,
back to
two
I just don't
wasn't
have the
good.
interest.
Yeah, two wasn't
I just
good.
don't have the general interest in Crackdown. I was interested in some of the cloud tech that they were using, but once we found out that they weren't going to be able to use that kind of diminished that for me, just because I saw the potential in that type of destruction and that type of destruction. I wish Suicide Squad had some of that. I wish more games had some of that. And that's like what I want to see as far as where we go graphically, is getting more detail in our games versus going to 8K. How about, can I get destructibility in all the games that I play? I think that would be really cool to see, but that's nonetheless a different tangent. I think something like that would be dope, though. I do think that they need to get back to like what Saints Row was, because I do think that after 3 or 4, that they kind of lost their identity, and that's me coming in as somebody that came in late in the Saints Row, because I was just like, it's just a knockoff GTA. Why would I play Saints Row? I got GTA. Come to find out, Saints Row is a lot more than that, and it was a lot, and it was a lot of fun. With what's happened with Saints Row here recently, with those guys making a new studio, hopefully it was the circumstances that caused them to make a quote unquote mediocre game. In most people's eyes, I think a lot of people didn't.
Yeah, I mean,
see
I think
the
that has a
value
lot
in
to do.
that.
I'm not making excuses, but I think you're onto
Yeah,
something,
I
because you
mean,
got to remember that technology was literally had to be ripped out of the game. I would have licensed it from Epic Games, because that's what wound up happening. Epic Games came in and bought the studio that they were working with on this new tech, and they had to literally rip it out of the DNA of the game to make the Crackdown 3. Now, granted, I'm not making excuses for it. A lot of people didn't like it. I freaking loved it, and I'm not gonna apologize for doing so. But I think that maybe, and again, no excuses here. I don't make excuses for people. That had a lot to do with why the game came out the way it did.
And that could be the one thing that they do end up doing differently, right? Boom. Whereas because now that cloud tech is possible, now Microsoft doesn't have to worry about that. They like
Yeah.
we can make we got our own. We don't have to worry about somebody getting it from underneath us. So now it's like, yeah, if GTA is going to be what it is, I miss the days when we had other games that were similar to that, whether it had been Sleeping Dogs, True Crime, and the
Good
others alike,
ones.
right? It's one of those things to where it's the same thing. Same thing with this one. Same with Saints Row is kind of the same, and then with Crackdown, there could be so much destructibility, so much craziness that's happening in the game. Make it a co-op PvP kind of game. There's just so many different elements that you can apply to it, and it just depends on the direction. Again, I want to see. The thing that interests me most is their next game. I want to identify whether it's just them as creatives. That's the problem.
Nice. Yeah.
Because not everybody ages the greatest as far as things goes. Not everybody wants what has their hand on the pulse, or if it was just their publisher or whatever at the time. So boom, I do got to slide out of here though.
Yeah,
I got to go
brother.
get my daughter from school. So I want to say, ladies and gentlemen, I want to say thank you for guys for coming out. Hit that like button as I make my way out, and make sure that you tune into these fellas, because I know I'm about to get his bars off. So, and I'm gonna be tuning in on my phone as I'm riding. So greatly appreciate you, Boom. Pat chat. Follow me everywhere. Steel Rain Eye, that teaser 7. And I might be streaming some Suicide Squad here later. So
as you should,
sir.
As you should. And don't forget to tune in Saturday mornings,
Yes,
10 a.m.
please.
Eastern Standard Time, where him and Pong do 3, 4, 5-hour shows. And you know something? They're part of my weekly content that I enjoy listening to. And you should as well. There you go, brother.
Appreciate that, bro. You have a good one. Y'all stay safe and enjoy the rest of your day. Much
Later,
love.
brother.
Thanks, brother. Super appreciate it. So let's get into it, Infinite. I mean, look, I'm a map guy, right? I make no qualms in it. I like a big map. I like a lot of things to do. Suicide Squad is going to be something I'm going to put 50, 60, 70 hours into this game. Like I said, honestly, I'm watching my own gameplay, and I freaking cannot wait to get back to the controller in hand, I'm loving every second of it. And I'm loving it even more than I'm watching my gameplay. I'm like, oh man, I kind of know what I'm doing a little bit there. So not bad. My thoughts and theories is Crackdown 1 comes out and they covertly or not covertly add the Halo 3 demo and people run out to buy Crackdown because they want to play Halo 3. Turns out Crackdown 1 was a freaking awesome game. I mean, just from start to finish, absolutely phenomenal. And yes, I got addicted to collecting those blue orbs, and I got every one of them in that game. 2 comes along, it's a bit meh. You know what I'm saying? It's got these monster things.
Mhm.
It didn't hit. Now 3 comes out, and again, Steel didn't care for it. It was underbaked for some people. I'm not going to front, folks. I loved every second of it. I can still go back right now, which I'm probably going to go do and record footage of me playing because I loved every second of it. For me, with technology the way it is, the cloud, the power of the cloud, right? What they have as the console that we play in Xbox Series X, with the development that studios that they have under their umbrella, they're working with this newly formed studio. I I just think that there is a world that a Crackdown, maybe it's a double A, maybe it's you know what I'm saying? Maybe it's not a triple A, $100 million budgeted game, but does it have to be good? No, it actually doesn't. Um, and I would love this is kind of what we've been hearing in the background that there's going to be more third party collaborations with Xbox Game Studios to potentially bring some older IP back into the fray. Do you want to see a new Crackdown?
I wouldn't be against it. Unlike our brother Steel, I actually did love this Crackdown. I love Crackdown 1 and 3. Part 2, I agree with you. I didn't care
Yeah,
for it.
2 is very forgettable.
Yeah, I didn't care for 2. But I think Crackdown is one of those things that never quite fully took. I think part 1 took off a bit, right? And it kind of helped define the 360 or whatever. But I think outside of that, it never really quite got the focus it deserved from Xbox to really push it to that next level. 3 was cool. I enjoyed it. It's not a great game, but it was fun. And no matter what anybody would say, the traversal, running around, jumping around, and all that, collecting these orbs and all that, it definitely was fun. And then you get the car and all of that can transform. I enjoyed all of that. I think that was really dope. That said, I'll say this: X-Volition devs coming together using Unreal Engine 5, like you pointed out. So you already know I'm hyped for that. And hopefully they can pull it together because some people are fumbling with Unreal Engine. Lately.
Yeah,
Maybe they need to move to 4. I don't know,
but to be fair, what we have heard, again, we don't know. We're just we're fans, just like you folks in the chat here, that there's a new ideology at Xbox where every studio is helping every studio.
right?
And we know that the masters of Unreal Engine 5, the coalition, is helping out. They're helping out with State of Decay 3. They could easily send someone over to assist in making these Unreal Engine 5 games run to the best of their ability. And I think you're starting to hear that. And if we're hearing about it, obviously it's something that's happening.
It's interesting you say that because Nick, which you brought up a while ago, he on the show actually said something pretty bold. And he said that if it were up to him, and I don't fully agree because I still want the coalition to create, particularly the games we know that were like delayed or canceled because or whatever, they had to go back to Gear 6, right?
Right.
He said he would use them as a full-on
support studio,
like support studio, and helping people with Unreal Engine across the Xbox studios, helping them get those.
I mean, they could logistically form, because one thing that we learned about Sony and how they make their games, there is an entire studio that's I don't even think it's named.
I forgot the
name
of it. I know what you're talking about.
They're like a movie studio, and what happens is a Naughty Dog does their game, and they send the game over to these masters of this movie experience, and they touch it up, and they add all the flair to it. And that goes for Sony Santa Monica. That goes for any of their Insomniac. They send these these finished games over to this studio that doesn't make games, that helps finish creating them. Maybe that's something
Yeah.
that they could do with people that don't want to quote unquote make games, but want to assist on the experience, on the visuals.
Now, there I agree. Like I felt what I told them there was maybe it can be a bit of a compromise where they have a smaller team that can be devoted to helping all studios get their Unreal Engine projects up to the highest of qualities. But I wouldn't take the whole of the coalition because they're too good of developers to just push them off into that. For me, I would want them to create new IP and whatever else it may be. I'm sure many would still want them to get new gears out or whatever it may be. So I wouldn't want them fully just moving into that territory. That said, too, I love what I'm hearing here. Like I said, like X-Volition devs forming a new studio. We don't know necessarily if it'll be the highest of AAA or whatever it may be. Then you also have, well, I would say Unreal Engine 5 leads me to believe it might be AAA just because they kind of go that route. But it doesn't mean anything, right? There's plenty of lower budget AAAs that use Unreal Engine.
I mean, RoboCop is a perfect example of that. RoboCop is not AAA, but it did use Unreal Engine 5. And you know something? That
True.
game is phenomenal.
I enjoyed
Phenomenally good.
RoboCop a lot. By the way, I think they just added New Game Plus to that as an aside.
Yes, they did.
And my boy Charlie Hustle pointed it out to me. But I enjoyed RoboCop. I'm going to go back and play it eventually. So that said, Agents of Mayhem, which I own, by the way, I haven't played it yet, but I bought it.
Dude,
on
it's
sale.
so freaking good, dude.
I gotta try it out.
I
It looks like
really
it's good.
enjoyed it.
It looks like it. These are the things I would say. Crackdown 4, I would be for if they innovate a bit, right? I don't want them to have the same old. I still want us to be able to jump like you did with King Shark here and smash like you just did. That they need to have. And this is why I said the teams who made the Saints Row 3 and 4 and stuff like that, when you start having superpowers,
dude,
that would be
two
the
of my
team you have
favorite
make
open
Crackdown.
world games, bro.
Yeah.
3 is my favorite. I enjoyed 4 because 4 like really kind of
and went straight out
there.
full on
Yeah.
superhero. And that's who you would, if I had the any say, that's who I would tap to put in for Crackdown, because those you could see the joy in how they let you do what you do, their freedom there. That would fit Crackdown perfectly. They can narratively say that there's this new, technology, this new drug, this new whatever to give you certain abilities and such. And you can kind of maybe build your own type of character or whatever it may be. Like, there's so many ways they can go with that. Now, I wouldn't be against the Crackdown 4, but what I would say, and shout out to my brother, Mr. Inferno Games, who had made a great tweet, I think, or mentioned in the chat, where he said that if he had the choice, and based off the IP they own now with Activision and True Crimes, he said he would have them do True Crimes. Maybe somebody else chimed in and said True Crime Chicago, which I co-signed immediately.
Well, of course you are. Yes, absolutely.
Because we've had New York, we had LA.
Yeah.
Why not one of the biggest and most
Chi-Town
beautiful cities? Absolutely. It would be perfect. And of course, the crime part, we got that here too, unfortunately. But still, but absolutely, True Crime Chicago with this team. They're in Champaign, Illinois, rather. I shouldn't say the S. But they're in Champaign, Illinois. They're using Unreal Engine 5. Absolutely a model, open world game of true crime or the new protagonist. That would be dope, I think. More so even to me than Crackdown. And that's not to say I wouldn't want Crackdown for them to do that. But yeah, that's absolutely. By the way, I saw in the chat, I saw some people discussing two things that caught my eye, kind of off topic. One was about second party, which people typically don't say. I agree. I know some people were like, I never seen people really say that. People don't really say that. However, I talked to a dev friend, and he pointed out that the second party might not be discussed openly like that, but hiring a third party developer and having them work on your IP is considered second party. Just to clarify.
Yeah, I'm glad that you did, but yeah, that's how I always thought about it anyway. It is second party, because what winds up happening is, even though it's being developed by, for instance, this new studio, it is published by Microsoft. It's
right.
It's so yeah, that's what makes it quote unquote second party.
Exactly. So anybody, for instance, the team that's working on is it Monolith? I forgot the names. The ones that's working on Contraband, that would be considered
Yes, that
second
would be
party.
considered second party because Xbox Game Studio is publishing. Yes.
Exactly. So, but no, that said too, somebody else mentioned something about console wars, and somebody correctly pointed out this has been going on since the Nintendo and Sega. That's absolutely
Dude,
right.
it's
This
been
is not
going on
new.
since I was a freaking kid.
Yeah,
It
come
really
on.
has.
It's not new. This didn't just start. It's more toxic than it's ever been for sure.
Yeah,
But
well,
it didn't
social
just
media
start
is
with
to
this
blame
gen.
for that,
Yeah.
technically.
But yeah, that said, I would say if it was Crackdown, I'm not gonna be like, oh no. I'll be like, yeah, all right, let's see what they can do. I would absolutely champion it. It's Unreal Engine 5 too. You got my support 100%, and it's Volition and they're, I trust them. These guys know what they're doing, and it's good. By the way, I'll just as an aside to say, to see these teams rebound after being losing jobs and such at other places to form their own thing and say we're going to do our thing here. It's just up for them to deliver a good game and for us to support them. That's the thing. We have to support because they could do this and it flops for all and that's the end of them right there.
No, I mean, listen, the one thing that we have we've seen Sony do, and folks, we're about to get on out of here because obviously we're hitting the 2:00 hour. One of the things that we've seen Sony do to great success is you have a bunch of very powerful IPs that come out. They're highly reviewed, they're highly rated on Metacritic and OpenCritic, and they sell well. Right now, maybe not. We know Sony's players don't really buy a lot of games. That's not a dig. It's just a fact. But what having really good first party AAA bangers do for smaller titles is give them that extra layer of gloss. They look even better because of the AAA games. Now, I'm not saying that a new Crackdown can't be on its own thing, but the one thing that we can admit is that Microsoft is in a position, or specifically Xbox Game Studios, that they have literally so many games in development that you don't need Crackdown to come out and change the universe. It needs to come out and be a good game, and then that's surrounded with Hellblade and Fable and Starfield, and you're just building this crazy momentum
Mhm.
of one game after another. You don't
And diversity.
need to sell 10 million copies of Crackdown because it's going into a service. That's why I think it's going to potentially be double A. They don't need it to
Yeah.
be a triple A. It's Crackdown. They tell a story, make some new changes to it, bring back the destructible environment that we were supposed to get in 3, or maybe even just reboot the franchise
Yeah.
altogether and give it its own identity. I don't know.
It's so many ways they can go with it. Again, I say they can just evolve it. Like keep that hey, you're this agent and all that. But now these powers we've evolved to being able to fly. If you choose this power set,
Yes,
you've evolved to you being able to run super fast like the Flash. They've done all this in the the Saints Row and stuff. You saw that you could be running super fast, you could fly. That's easily in their wheelhouse to do. So that they can just evolve it like that. We developed agents. We've developed this new wonder drug that allows you to do this. And when they say that, they let you pick your power set. And then you
Yes,
create your
dude, I
character
love
to
it.
start with. Get you a well-known person. They can get Terry Crews to come back for all I care.
I love Terry
There's
Crews.
so many ways they can do that. And Unreal Engine 5 is going to look pretty. Do that, make that a priority. And as far as that prioritize visuals, because a lot of people care about that. Visuals, gameplay, and traversal. And all of that I think will help excel it. Like you said, it doesn't have to be AAA. It just has to do well. We've already had that debunked several times over, especially lately with the whole Pal World situation. It doesn't have to be AAA for it to be successful. And that's there's no other bigger argument than Pal World at the moment. So yeah, absolutely. If they did Crackdown 4, I know somebody like Cody Eastwood would be very happy since he championed 3. But yeah, I think that'll be dope. That I still stick to my buddies though. Going to a true crime Chicago. I would co-sign that in seconds. I'm just telling you.
No. Listen, folks, I hope you enjoyed the 2 hours as much as I did. Obviously, shout out to Steel Rain, who had to go and take care of some family business. But let's get everyone out of here. A big thank you once again. Real quick, Freddie Fox in the chat drops a very generous $2 super chat and says, Crackdown 3 campaign was a lot of fun. Make a 4th. Indeed, sir. I co-sign that as well. again, a big thank you for everyone for who tuned in. We had over 700 people here. Hopefully, you enjoyed the banter enough that if you're not already subscribed, you consider subscribing. I do this live show 5 days a week, Monday through Friday. All great panels, all great content. And you know what we don't do? Well, unlike IGN, we don't sell lies. We certainly don't clickbait you, and we don't use hate mongering here. We laugh. We have a lot of fun. We are pointed. We can be serious. We can have those serious conversations, but we have fun talking about games. And if you enjoyed it enough to tune in today, hopefully you'll come back by subscribing to the channel. Umbra, let's sell your brand. Obviously, you have a show coming up with Danny this Thursday. Obviously, you have a channel called The Fix. I think people, or at least more people, should be tuning in on a weekly basis as well as subscribing. Tell everyone where they can do that, and more importantly, follow you on social media.
Yes, yes, sir. Boom. Thank you, of course, for always doing what you do. I got to talk with you, of course. I told you this in chat, and I'm like, hey, I said it on air too. I don't know how you do it, brother. I sit here and I'll have unless it's a super major news topic, I'm like, okay, I know what to lead with. But you have this knack for finding all these different discussions that my mind is just not going to. So I'm gonna have to reaffirm my thinking.
Pick my brain, brother. I look. I've said this before, and I'm not patting myself on the ass. Pardon the sirens in the background. Yeah, they're coming for me. I work on the channel.
That's IGN coming for you for playing.
Yeah, no doubt about that. I technically work on the channel 7 days a week. I don't podcast on the weekends because obviously that's Mrs. Boom's time. So I tried to delicately, do the podcasting, have some time for games, make some time for Mrs. Boom. Do my own health workout and take care of the house. It's I run at 100 miles an hour. I freaking love it. I love it. As a police officer, from the minute I donned on the outfit to the minute I took it off, I ran at 100 miles an hour because that was my job to do it. This is now my life, and now to mimic it, to give me a sense of purpose. I run at 100 miles an hour, and the only thing I can say is I do a lot of reading. I read 30 to 40 stories a week, and even when I'm sleeping, Umbra, I'm thinking of the show. It's the craziest thing. Like, I actually have a pad next to the bed. When something hits me, I actually get up, I jot it down, and I go back to sleep. And in the morning, it's waiting for me, so I don't forget because I'm old. So it's that's just how I roll.
Wise. Listen, don't feel about the old thing, man. I'm 41, about to be, right? And my birthday, by the way, is coming up February 4th. That's this Sunday.
Oh, nice. My nephew Tyler's birthday is the 1st.
There you go. So I have said many times, I'm like, you can hear me on the show. I'm like, oh, what was this person's name? Oh, what was that? Man, I said before, I need me some vitamins or something. I don't know, some ginkgo biloba or something. I'm being forgetful lately. I don't know what's going on with me. So it's not even just an older age kind of thing. Sometimes you're just old in mind, like when it comes to remembering things. I don't know. I don't think it's necessarily about like old age or older age. I think it's just forgetfulness. We got so much information. It's kind of like it reminds me of the Simpsons.
It's a lot. Yeah.
I got so much information and it's pushing other information out. I don't know. But yeah, no, man. Definitely gonna pick your brain. So be ready for that. And I got your number too,
pleasure.
so you can't hide. I'm like, hold on. Hey, it's me. Answer. No, but yeah, that said, thank you, audience and chat member family, for being here with us, holding us down. We appreciate you guys. You can find me, of course, on Twitter, X, Infinite Umbra, or Umbra Infinite. You'll find me either way. Thursday at 8 o'clock Eastern. And I'm not sure what time it will be for you guys. It's 7 o'clock for me and Danny in our time zone. Come by and support me and Danny. We would appreciate it. I know sometimes I'll see like maybe 35, 40 people, 50 people in the chat, et cetera, especially if we get a bigger name, it'll be more than that. And but I have noticed like sometimes I haven't seen some of the family come through. So if you guys do have the time, we would appreciate it. And something I found out, by the way, 30 seconds of your time in watching that video counts as a view.
Indeed, it does.
Yeah. So come by if you guys can and hear us out. I think we have a good time and a good discussion. So if you guys can come by and support us, give us a like. Hell, come later on and check the video on demand and leave a comment. I don't care, as long as you come by and say, hey, brother, I heard you. I heard your plea. here I come, here I am, right? You know, come by and say hi to us and show us a little love over there. And if you feel so indebted to do so as a family member of ours in the community, a brother's birthday is Sunday, like I said. So you check me up on Twitter. I got my cash app there. You can drop a brother a dime or two, and
maybe
give me something. I want to get.
Let him buy Suicide Squad.
Exactly. I can probably pick up Suicide Squad. Drop me some donations. I hate to say it like that, but thank y'all for being here. Much love. Even if you don't, come by and say hi to us. We would appreciate it. It matters a lot. It's actually crazy just seeing anybody actually showing up. I didn't realize how impactful that can be. Like, shout out to the Lord Starkiller, for instance, who I specifically want to shout out, who has come through the show. We'll watch it later because he's overseas, and so it's really late for him when we do it, or early in the morning rather. And he will go play by play of what we talked about, and even give super things in the comment section. I'm like, this brother is on it. So shout out to you specifically, Lord Starkiller. And for anybody who comes by and do that, it does matter a lot. I didn't even, until I saw that, I was like, wow, like you really rock with us. That really kind of changed my thought process on a lot of this. And I really appreciate it. So for those who do come by and already show us love, we much appreciate you guys. And we would like for the guys here to come by and keep the chat lively as you do here. Until then, I will see you guys later. I'm going to get back to some more Pal World to try to get the rest of those locked up, the achievements, and finish this other game I've been playing called Aguilos. Really dope little 8-bit kind of throwback.
Oh, by the way, Brotato is available. I played it this morning. I unlocked a bunch of 1-point achievements. If you don't like odd achievements, don't play it. But it's good. It's just not as addictive, at least for me, just
as Vampire Survivors.
Yeah. It's good. I'm enjoying it. But I like Army of Ruin is my crack cocaine of 2024. I can't stop playing it. I've unlocked almost every character.
Nice.
It's phenomenal.
I saw somebody else in the chat earlier was saying that you put them on it. They were planning now too.
I try to sell it. It's down $8. Best $8 you'll ever spend. Trust me when I tell you. It is. If you like Vampire Survivors, and why shouldn't you? You should definitely check out Army of Ruin. But ladies and gentlemen, once again, thank you so much.
Oh boy, we got one more.
We got another super chat. Yeah, let me get to it. Hold on a sec. We have here. Yes, Ultron Quake. What's going on, brother? Thank you so much for the outstanding generosity. And he simply says, after dropping a very generous $2 super chat, give me Crackdown 4. Indeed. I don't care if it's a reboot, which I wouldn't mind, but I'd take a Crackdown 4 for sure. And I say bring Terry Crews back as well. Of course, I'm going to close out today's show with something that's incredibly important to me, folks. Hopefully one day it'll be important to you. And that's something that my dad taught us when we were kids. And he would say, Craig, treat others how you want to be treated. And also, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, son. I can guarantee you're going to have an awesome day. So take care, everyone. And we'll see you next week on the newest episode of the Xbox Factor Podcast.